All right, guys, our next bit of movie news we're going to talk about today is something some of you have probably heard, some of you may not have heard, but yes, there is going to be a Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2 movie, a sequel. Ever since the first film came out, it was a huge smash success. Everybody pretty much universally loved it. I loved the look, like right from the trailer. I was like, I'm in. The animation style of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales looked beautiful. I mean, just look at this photo. Look at this photo here. That looks beautiful. I love the animation style. It looks like it's trying to be 3D, but not. It feels like you should be wearing 3D glasses watching this movie, but that's that's the intended effect, right? So cool, so cool. Well, very recently, it had been announced. What was this? Yesterday? 2 days ago. It was announced 2 days ago. The upcoming sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse isn't just going to have one director. It's not just going to have two directors, because this movie is having three directors. Now, if that sounds crazy and out of this world, let me tell you, the first movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, had three directors. Let's jump into this article for a second from Collider. They say Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse had three directors. The original film, the movie in 2018, had three directors: Bob Persichetti, Peter Ramsey, and Rodney Rothman. And now, as reported by Variety, the as-of-yet untitled Spider-Verse sequel will also have a trio of directors: Joaquim dos Santos, Kemp Powers, and Justin K. Thompson. Now, I want to jump in here for a second. We're going to read some other credentials, but just pay attention to some of these credentials because they're kind of interesting. Powers is currently this is Kemp Powers, one of the three directors. Powers is currently having an incredible prestige film season, coming off of an Oscar nomination for his adapted screenplay of One Night in Miami, and an Oscar nomination for his co-directed film, Pixar film Soul. So yeah, Kemp Powers wrote the screenplay. It's an adapted screenplay, but he wrote the screenplay for One Night in Miami, the new film directed by Regina King. It's getting a lot of praise. I myself didn't. I felt that it could have been stronger. I think the editing. I think it lost a lot in editing. I like the story, but there's certain things that I didn't quite understand about the story. But whatever. It's getting a lot of praise and a lot of love right now. So we have the screenwriter of One Night in Miami, and he also co-directed Soul. If you haven't seen Soul, he co-directed Soul. Let's jump back into this. Dos Santos, Joaquim Dos Santos, one of the other three directors, he's making his feature film debut, and has helmed episodes of the acclaimed animated television series Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Legend of Korra, and Justice League Unlimited. Also, that's pretty impressive. Justice League Unlimited, Legend of Korra, and Avatar: The Last Airbender, all three of those shows have universally been panned as beautiful, almost near perfect shows, right? And now he's taking his skills from television and bringing them into film. The last director, Justin K. Thompson, also making his feature film debut. He is an award-winning production designer. Excuse me, my speech is slurring. An award-winning production designer for the first Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie. He's also worked as the production designer on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. So while he doesn't have directing credits per se, he is the production designer, and now he's being brought on to be a co-director for the sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I think all of this is really encouraging. I think this is really cool. And it also leaves me with a particular theory of mine, something that I think may be going on. I'm not 1,000% on this, but who knows? 3 directors. Now, granted, the first film had 3 directors, and it was great. The danger with having more than one director is that visions oftentimes get muddled and cloudy, and things get lost in the mix. So you don't have just one singular vision. You'll have multiple visions, and sometimes those visions cross over, and the whole thing collapses, right? But not in terms of the first film. The first film was genius. And maybe it's because of the complexity that the first film had. That's why you needed multiple directors. I don't know. I'm just speculating. Who knows? But I do have a theory. I do have a theory for the sequel. You guys remember Twilight Zone, the movie, right? Twilight Zone, the movie, I mean, overall, the directing credit is given to John Landis for directing Twilight Zone, the movie. I think it was back in 1988, 86, something like that. Somebody correct me. But each segment of that movie, like there were 4 stories, and each one of those stories was directed by a different director. Steven Spielberg directed one. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember all the different directors off the top of my head. I think Joe Dante may have directed one. I can't remember. But yeah, there were 4 different directors that directed 4 different segments of that movie. And I'm wondering if the story of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2 is going to have an element of Miles Morales going into the Spider-Verse, and he goes into 3 separate, or maybe 4 separate, or however many different Spider-Verses, and each Spider-Verse has its own visual style associated with that. Maybe that's part of the story. And if they do that, it's going to elevate the storytelling from what we've already seen, right? I think it's interesting. First and foremost, I think it's interesting that they're getting 3 directors again. And maybe they're just going to recreate. I don't want to say recreate, because it was kind of revolutionary, the first film. But kind of maybe they're going to go after the same spirit or the same tone or the same thing of what they did before. But it's also very possible that they're going to tell this movie in 3 different distinct sections or parts. And each part needs to look and feel very, very different. I don't know. That's just me speculating. I have no idea about this, but that was my knee-jerk reaction. And as I've watched other YouTube videos about the same thing, I've seen other people have this same theory or knee-jerk reaction that I've had. So who knows? Maybe it's going to be true. Maybe it won't. But the thing that we definitively do know is that we are getting a Spider-Verse 2 movie, which is slated to come out later next year. I think in like the fall or winter of next year, possibly winter of next year. Anyway, guys, what I want to know is, what are your thoughts about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2? First of all, did you even know that it was coming out? Second of all, what are your thoughts about having 3 different directors? Could it get muddled? I mean, the first one was near perfect, so who knows? Who knows? I want to hear what your thoughts are. Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what this Mickey Mouse Walt Disney World snow globe would want you to do. When you wish upon a star.